think for me, I think there's no filter on information that I need to share or whatever. So if we're going in, we're going in.
One thing I overmark you. Okay, you know G?
No, we haven't met. A friend of mine was telling me about him, but she just couldn't get his name. So she mentioned Kai and
Yes.
the whole squad, you know, but she
Yes.
just couldn't get his name.
Yes, yes.
So
G-Funk's very, very popular
shot, man.
in the streets. And I'll start by saying welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's another episode of the Everyday Gents. Why am I looking at this camera? Let's do that again, okay? Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's another episode of the Everyday Gents. It's your boy Captain. It's your bro G-Funk in the back there. We don't have Melissa Savage Seville today. And we have...
Yeah.
Should I even give an introduction? If you all can see right here, you'll already know one of the most popular people to ever come out of Durban CBD, one of the most talented artists. This man's CV speaks for itself. His songs are still playing in radios, on the club scene, everywhere. He's still getting booked left, right, and center like you never believe. It's the one and only Verdene Eaton, aka Verd.
Thank you, sir.
How are you doing today,
I'm good,
brother?
and you, brother?
Thank you
well.
so
Thank you
much
for having me, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for being on the show, bro.
Pleasure.
How long has it been since we've been trying to...
It's been a long time. So we've been trying to lock this down for, sheesh,
couple of months now.
Yeah.
It just goes to show that you're still very active, very busy. The first question I want to ask you is, you were on Happy Valley Radio today.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just caught the little snippets of it. Are you running for
president? For president?
Yeah, because I see you doing some community activist work. You know, Gayton is there already.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So we got to get our people in. You know what I mean?
Why
so
not?
we're hashtag Verd for president. No, I'm just kidding.
Minister of what, music and arts?
Well, of late, the narrative is past the love songs. So now, man, we just I think for the community side of things, you know what's happening in the community, man. Every week, you know, young soldiers are being dropped, and it's just we have a fatherless community syndrome, if I can call it that. You know, so we've got these challenges where we're faced with lighties that just don't have fathers, no role models in the community. And if there are role models that are driving the fancy cars, 90% of the time it's the guys that are getting that in an ill-gotten way. So the gain is ill-gotten. It's not through the right channels, and these lighties actually feel that they want to be like those guys. And the truth of the matter is, once they become like that, it comes at a price. So I mean, I've just decided at this stage of my life, you know, I've tasted what it's like to be in the limelight, and I've tasted what it's like to connect with other artists and to open for international artists and all of these things. I've traveled some of the countries in the world, and I'm just burdened for the community, you know, burdened for our people and for just to see change, man. Like if we don't, like, you know, get together, and I mean, even this, if you don't realize that even this podcast is a vehicle, it's a vehicle for change.
100%.
So, I mean, we would rather have guys wanting to try and be somebody, and you giving them a platform, and be grateful, man, to you for your platform, just showing the guys that there is a better way. So, man, that's if people are gonna label it, you know, Verd for president, they're cool. I'm cool with that. But just know that we're on a mission, and people's lives are important, and we're trying to just be a part of making history. And the legacy that we want to leave behind is the fact that people are, the lives of people must be impacted in some way. And hopefully the music stays, and it stays clean, pure, and reaches the generations that we want it to.
Speaking about the time in your life that you are now, bro, I remember most of the time when people post, and I want to ask you, who's responsible for that? Is that a you thing, or is that the people thing, or is that because you just don't be posting a lot? People always post posters of you, of that one poster that they've got for years, right? Now that I'm seeing you face to face,
sure,
bro, you still look the same, like, and you look on that same poster. What is your product that you use?
Hey
bro?
man, you must put polish on your hair. You know, so, I think if I've got to be honest, I try to be relatable as much as I can from a people perspective. So I got a 16-year-old son.
I was gonna say your son is big. He's probably
Yeah,
even taller than you
he's
now.
way taller. He's a basketball player, so
Short.
he's into the culture, he's into the vibes. He's responsible for the trip, like making sure that I look however I look wherever I go. It's just with him, there's always him and his friends coming over to the house. So I feel like I get in on the conversations. I throw a little bit of nuggets here and there. I'll be like, no, you don't speak to her like that. Don't approach her like that. Approach her like this. And then they'll come to me.
Lady.
So they'll come to me and be like, okay, listen, this is what happened. This guy, somehow this thing with this chick bombed, and he doesn't know what to do. And then it's like, I'll be like, okay, why doesn't he if he's chatting to somebody, hand the phone over to you or to one of his other friends, let them pretend that they are him and try to rescue or remedy the situation. And then if all of them fail, then they come to me and they'll be like, okay, what do we do now? Because at the end of the day, as much as we fail in relation to the opposite sex, there's also that's why I say there's also that kind of like that Mr. Love songs card that you can pull. The ace is always under your sleeve
100%.
somewhere. So you know what I mean. It's I try to be there for them. I try to so this stage of my life is crucial. But there's no what do you call it? There's no daily routine, skincare, and all of that stuff. I mean, now's the time that I actually should be getting into that because I'm getting older. I need to put some polish on the on the chebe a little bit. You know what I mean? Salt and peppers now showing through. But true, man. You know what? I'm at a blessed place because it's been 23 years that I'm in this game now, and it's been phenomenal. The journey's been absolutely incredible. I answered a question at Happy Valley earlier on, and I said I wouldn't change much. Maybe yes, I made a few silly decisions, but the truth of the matter is I wouldn't have gotten the lessons from
100%,
those stupid decisions. So man, I'm just grateful, but I'm happy to see that there's progress all around me. People look at us and they say, man, your music, you're still performing, all of that. But on the flip side, we are seeing phenomenal things around us. We're seeing podcasts, we're seeing other artists, we're seeing people open businesses. We see like people are really just going after their dreams, man, and that absolutely blows my mind. So if I can be a part of something small, or let me say if I can contribute something small to somebody's big vision, you know what I mean? Then one day I can say that when this thing is a global platform and sponsors are diving at you, you know what I mean? I want to be able to just step in and say, hey, how's it, bro? I see you rocking it, keep it up. I just got this new project I'm working on. I'm not sure if I can just talk about it for 5 minutes on your platform. You know what I mean? Like, so one hand washes the other.
100%.
But just trying to show support, man.
Yeah. Have you just speaking about your son and telling him, the bra must take the phone and talk. When we were young, I had a group of friends. What we used to do is loyalty test. We used to say, okay, so you know what? I smacked this cherry. I really like her.
Let's see.
Take her number. She hasn't met any of the bras yet. Throw her up and whatever.
Make a plan.
One O ended up saying is from Montclair. There's a pool table place. Yeah, she can come through. The second ended up buying through, bro. Would you ever encourage your son to do something like that?
I would, because at the end of the day, if he doesn't know her personally, then it kind of will give him an indication as to the kind of, if I can just share a little bit about him, like sometimes, people have a way of disguising themselves, and we were under the impression that, one of the chicks that he knew was such a sweet girl. We thought, okay, cool. This thing is looking like it's going to go for the long haul, And the truth of the matter is I think maybe we also got to consider parental pressure and, the fact that they're in this time and space where they have to take their studies and make that a priority and all of that. So obviously we had to somehow be understanding. And the truth of the matter is, when things didn't work out, and I was saying, you with being a man, you gotta have the heartbreak experience. In order
Hey,
to for it to toughen you up, you got
100%.
to have the heartbreak experience. And the truth of the matter is, I walked with him through that. And but I'm saying in the beginning, obviously, you're not emotionally connected to somebody when you're first getting to know them. So I would encourage the guys to do the loyalty test. And then if she passes, you know how much more great, or proud of her you'd feel to say, okay,
Yeah.
she actually passed the loyalty test. Cool. At least I know this is one I can take home
Mm.
to mama.
How soon do you tell them though? Because don't do it in the butterfly phases, I don't
Yeah. So
wait a little bit to see,
true. True. The thing is, it's gonna be well, the butterfly phase also is where you can't tell the person nothing. You know what I mean? It's like their focus is that one
Yeah.
guy or that one
Yeah.
girl. That's just, you know what I mean. So it could work in the butterfly phase. It could bomb. But the truth of the matter is, the loyalty test the result will be the same in both phases. Unless somebody really says, look, unless in the butterfly phase, unless they're talking to a couple of people
Mm.
and only revealing a little bit about themselves slowly, slowly. But the truth is, when somebody is fully in, let me give you an example. uh, my wife was 18 years old when I told her that I would marry her. Right? I am 4 years older than her.
Mm.
So I was literally 22, and I said to her, "Listen, man," I said, "This I'm in it for the long haul." And she's like, "What are you talking about? I'm 18 years old, and you're speaking about marriage." I said, "Absolutely." I said, "I need to take you off the market." So I took her. I think it was her 21st birthday. I proposed,
Yeah.
and I married her the same year. So the truth
Mm.
is, when you realize that you found something, like I asked a friend of mine a question yesterday. I said, "Who's the person that you can call 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning? Maybe you're having some health trouble, and that person, or maybe even the person's at work, or whatever the case is, and you're experiencing an emergency. Which one of your female friends will drop everything, will make an excuse to their boss at work,
Mm.
or cancel some plans with their friends or their family or whatever, to make sure that you are good?" I said, when you find that person,
Marry
assess
them.
assess the conversations that you've been having with them. Have a look and see, is there an attraction here, or can something develop, whatever? Because 90% of the time, there's a friend in the friends group that's lurking, that's got these crazy feelings for you, that will never reveal them, because it's like that girl doesn't want to overstep the boundary. She knows, hey, we're friends. It's not like that. Her friends tease her about you, whatever. She's like, no, we're just friends.
Mm.
But the truth is, her heart somehow is feeling some type of way. And you see it in those kind of times and those actions where it's like she'll basically just drop everything and make sure. I mean, like, you find that in the past, people would go the extra mile. And the truth is, if your heart is not in it, then it won't happen. But there are people that would be your friends that will go through great lengths just to try and get your attention in that
Yeah.
way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I believe in the loyalty test. I mean, not in a malicious way,
Yeah.
obviously, but
Yeah.
we have to somehow kind of,
Especially in today's ages,
we gotta find out whether you for real.
Yeah, where relationships though they got an expiry date. You
For
need to you
sure,
need
for
to
sure,
know.
my bro.
But I guess you were fortunate to find your wife at an early stage in your life and career and stuff. So you didn't have to deal with, is she with me for the fame? Is she with
Yeah.
me for
I think, where I found that out was, I, I met her on my birthday. Right? We Zoom days. Hey,
mm,
we sitting there in the
mm.
cubicle. Hey, hugged up there. So my bro put me to a bit of a test on the night. He's like, listen, let's see your game. It's your
Mm.
birthday. You're gonna get free birthday kisses and stuff. But he said there needs to be one or two smooches now. Like, I'm gonna choose them. Those are the ones you can't just have a quick birthday pick. You need
Yeah.
to eat a smooch. I'm like, okay, cool. I said, choose anyone. I said, the fact that it's my birthday gives me the confidence that I'll get a smooch from anyone.
Mm.
Like, right, cool. Started choosing, go with this one, that one, that one. So at the end of the night, he finds my fro and he says, that one. And she's sitting at the bar. Elvis and all of them were there. So I'm like, hey, right, cool. And what he didn't know is that I knew her. We
Mm.
lived 2 streets away from each other.
Yeah.
Her brother was in our class. So we literally, it was a family, our families knew each other. He didn't know that because he moved 1993. I think he moved
Mm.
out of Newlands. So
But that made it harder now.
it didn't actually,
Okay.
because you must remember East Coast Flava took off in
Yeah.
2003.
Yeah.
So it became so much easier. And I thought about it and I'm like, you know what? These all these girls know, hey, we're from East Coast Flava, the music's popping, we all over the place. It'll be easy. And so with her, spoke a bit, hey, I thought, it's my birthday, whatever. Hey, yeah, no, cool. In fact, I found out that she had a bet with her friends. She had a bet. In fact, the guy that she was with at the time, she sent him home.
So you were with somebody that had a.
No, I wasn't with like she was like
Okay, you were
dating.
plotting somebody that had an outing.
No, she was dating. It wasn't a relationship. She wasn't in a
Okay.
relationship at the time. This old just liked her, so he was like, like he was like the Uber for her and her friends. It was like one of those, like I'm in the circle, but not yet. And then I think they tried to make something happen, and then she realized, this thing is not, it's not gonna work. So at the time, I didn't know because there was no guy with her when I met her that night, right? So that particular evening, she had a bet with her friend. She said, "I know this. Oh, tonight, I promise all of you." She said, "Have me a bet. I'll kiss him." And I'm like, "All right, cool." So I was a conquest. I didn't even know I was a conquest that night, bro.
Sure.
So anyway, so it was like she had a bet with her friends, and I had a bet with my bro. I said, "No, man." It's like, "Sade, easy, bro. Come on." Anyway, talked, spoke, if it told us my birthday, if it got my kiss, she got her kiss, she won her bet, I won my bet. And then I took her number that night. 2 weeks later, and this is why I say we had all came together. 2 weeks later, she she calls me and she says, "I just called to say, please delete my number. I don't want to hear from you. You're not interested." So I was like, wait. I said, "Hey, listen, I've been busy. We got the studio. We're busy with the whole thing, producing artists and all of that." And I said, "But listen, we've got this EMI. EMI was the record label at the time that we were working with." I said, "EMI is doing an album launch for one of the artists. There's the Durban leg is actually happening tonight. Let me come and fetch you. We'll go to the watch. We can talk nicely tonight." And
did you always have that in your mind, though, to invite her to the EMI?
No, I actually didn't. If she didn't call, I don't think I would have actually taken her with, because I was going alone. So, but I think at the time I was also living the rock star life. There was like, and she knows this because she actually met up at the house where we're chilling the one day, and one of the other chicks come over, tub of Cook sisters there. "Hey, how's it?" Came by the gate. So now she's looking at me like, "Okay, who's this?" But what she didn't know is that one person would come and collect my washing, one person would come and bring supper, one person would come and clean the house. So it was like a clock. It was like, so East Coast Flava time was hectic.
You were really living
Nah,
a
it was
life,
solid.
bro.
I mean, I was living with my bro. We were single. We didn't have no, even though we had the home training, we just didn't care. Like, I'm not gonna sit now and wash clothes, and So one cherry would wash my clothes, one cherry would bring me a chow, another cherry would bring DVDs over and just come and chill, maybe buy a bottle or whatever, watching DVDs. Now you hugged up there, blankets, whatever. So it was that like kind of lifestyle. And then my bro said to me, "Hey, you know what, bro, you can't live like this. You need to choose one." And I'm like, man, I'm having fun. It's like, I said, "You benefiting." I said, "Because when they bring supper, you eat in the same food." You know what I mean? If someone brings a bottle or DVDs or whatever, we all chilling, whatever. I said, there's benefits to this thing.
Was he
I
married
said,
at the time?
no, we were both single. Okay. So I'm saying, so at the time, there was a benefit for supper every day. There was a benefit for washing of the clothes. There was a benefit for somebody that's bringing sometimes a bottle or maybe a couple of ciders, whatever they want to chill. So we say, "Come over, come chill." DVDs, whatever, we put the music on, whatever. So if you think about it, if your house is being cleaned, your clothes are being washed, your food is being provided for, through to the point where if I got a gig coming up, I would even be taken shopping. Like that time, we went on Nef, we buying Fat Farm, like we were just living the life. And my Bruce like, "Hey, no, you need to just calm down, choose one." I said, "Yeah, but hey, hold it. I'm enjoying the benefits. Let me just," and somehow God had a way of bringing it to an end, because what happened was the one day I'm parking with my fro. Well, she wasn't my fro at the time, but she came past and we chilling, and one cherry comes over, Cook sisters, whatever. So she came there and, like, I think she hooted or knocked on the gate or whatever, and so Sade's sitting with me, and there's another cherry. There's this box of this container of Cook sisters. And it's like she's looking at me like, "Okay, who's this and what is she doing here?" So I had to now play it off like, "Oh, thanks, man. Hey, I appreciate it, man. Hey, I'll speak to you soon." Like, I had to try and get this chick like to understand that, hey, someone's here, like, you know. But obviously, she ended up seeing Sade, and then she just got into the car and she left. And then she contacted me and said, listen, please delete my number, don't contact me, and stuff like that. So I was like, you know what? I'll talk to her when she's gone. I'll cool that situation down. But the truth of the matter is, what the bro said to me was what hit me, and so I made the choice. I said, you know what, cool, and I was honest with her. I said, listen, this is the situation. This is how I've been living, and these are the things that what I have access to, you know. And then she somewhat sort of started stepping in. So she would come there. She would help with the cooking. She would take my clothes to her mother. They would do my washing. I mean, I was spoiled through, you know, to be honest. And but I started realizing the effort that she started putting in. And I realized, no, man, this is not about the fame or the fact that we're part of East Coast or whatever. I started seeing glimpses and little snippets of how my mother's behavior and how my mother serves my father and how my mother serves our sons, you know. And I started noticing these little pockets of glimpses. Now I'm checking, okay, my vrouw's doing the same thing. She's in the kitchen washing, like we have a child, she's washing all the dishes, you know. Started noticing that, hey, she looks in the room, she's like, oh, wait, bring all the clothes, put it all in a black bag or whatever, let me take it. Takes it. I was living in North, Durban North, what's the area called there? On the side of North Coast Road, you have Greener Park, and on the other side, I can't remember the area. But we were living in
Let us
Manfred
know
Drive.
in the
Yeah,
comments.
we were living in Manfred Drive in
Yeah.
Durban North there. And she would take the stuff from there to Newlands, wash everything. Once everything's done, it's dry, she'll bring it back. So I started noticing, hey man, it's giving wife tendencies here, you know, like, so I started speaking like, hey, you know what? Let's try and see what we can do here. Let's just try and make things official. Let's see where it goes, you know. And once we started having the conversation, immediately I started speaking marriage, and I was like, listen, I'm not letting you off like that. I'm not letting you off the hook like that. I'm taking you off the market, like, because this is rare, you know. It's either a chick would have one like aspect of it, and that she's really good at that, and the other things are like non-existent. You know what I'm saying? So it's either a person will be there, but then they're busy, you know. Person's working, no time, got reports to finish or whatever the case may be. And then there's just this there's this time where there's no communication and you're busy, I'm busy, cool. But it just never felt like it felt like there was not much investment like my fro, you know. She used to come there and do everything, make sure that her presence is felt, clean, make sure the place looks good. Um, and also she was very family oriented. So it's like, if you're spending time with me, come and spend time at my house with my parents,
family,
with everybody, you know. I would take her home as well. And bro, we're having supper. She's in the kitchen afterwards, telling my old lady, no more, you sit. I've got it, you know. She's washing the dishes. So that's the part that my lights in them, they don't have access to that. But sometimes when you start seeing that, you know, if it's not something you're looking for, you won't just place the value on it. But somebody that knows, I'm looking for somebody that kind of emulates my mother, you know, somebody that, you know, my mother's always going to be the benchmark, so to speak. So when I find that, I'm gonna hold on to it and grab a hold of it. And that's what I said to him. I said, find somebody that you know. If your mother's the benchmark, that person needs to sort of, the traits need to kind of sort of look like your mother's traits. And I said, and that's how you'll know. Part of what will help you is when you're stuck and you need assistance, you need something done, or there's an emergency. Who, if you're on a hospital bed somewhere, who's going to show up to that hospital? That's going to give you an indication of who you need to marry or who you should consider getting into a relationship with, you know. So real life situations will reveal that.
And I just want to say this on that point, because I was very happy you mentioned this, the mother being the benchmark thing. Ladies, if you're watching this, I want you to understand something. Do not ever call a man a mommy's boy. When a man grows up, the example of a woman that he sees from birth right up until he finds somebody to become a wife is his own mother. So what he sees in his mother, he's going to want, as Verdene said now, to emulate in the person that he wants to be with. Second thing is, our grandparents were there in a family structure. Today, we see younger grandparents now because people are getting children younger and younger. And the grandparents don't want to look and raise or be a part of the raising of the children. You'll play a very pivotal role because, again, a woman is key in any family. I know we spoke about absent fathers and stuff, and maybe we'll get into that a little bit later. But the woman is key to any family. So, yeah, right. Let's move on to East Coast Flava talks.
Yes, sir.
When you were at the peak of your powers in East Coast Flava, you'll had hot bubblegum that you should dance for your backup dancers.
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
And one of the hot bubblegum members, his name was Marvin Dre.
Yeah.
He was dating my sister.
Okay.
Celise.
Okay.
And he actually got a child from my sister. His name is Latik. And so you used to come there, 28 Josini Crow, by the posy, Chick Chucky with his baseball, basketball vests and
the bandanas and the caps, visors.
With the what was it, a Sprinter? Or I don't know what you had your
own.
A
Quantum.
Yeah, you had your own Quantum pocket. And I'm sitting there because.
Sorry. The Quantum was when I released my EP. Before it was a Mercedes Sprinter. It was actually, we brought it down from Joburg, actually.
Yeah. So, East Coast Flava.
Sure.
There was a rumor that you didn't like the brain funk style of rapping. You tried to coach it out of your artists, particularly Chucky and also I think G from YGB.
YGB.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why the operative word is rumor. So it was a rumor. What I tried to and this is part of music production. Production is not beat making. So you've got to have a vision for the song. So what I did try to give guidance on is the vulgarity of the content, of the lyrical content of the songs. So G and M would be speaking about smoking weed and, making sure you're strapped with condoms and, and all that, making sure that we drink imperials and all these things. So I'm saying, gents, think long term. There's a bigger picture here. You want the radio stations to play your stuff. You want to be given the opportunity to perform on television. You want whatever platforms are out there and whatever stuff is available, you want to be able to be called upon as a resource. So, for example, YGB's song, Party Anthem, right? If you think about it, it could have been a smash. Could have been a major smash. We had an American, I think he was an agent / executive at the label. This would freak out. His name was Anthony Morgan. He would freak out. This guy managed Tyrese for 6 years, managed Brian McKnight. He was instrumental in putting B2K together. He was YGB crazy, right? And that he would be like, Party Anthem's the joint, man. And I agreed, because for me, at that time, it was 50 came out with In the Club. It was like that whole, the hip hop thing took over as Eric Salmon and them, like they were rocking,
And that was a Valiant Verb Brotherhood production.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that was one of, I love Party Anthem, right?
Yeah.
And the reason is because I think it was track number 7, if I'm not mistaken. It was the first time I heard your guys' attempt on a hip hop ish type production, because most of the stuff was R&B, dance, club type. And you did pretty well, bro. And low key, everybody came.
It was very experimental, I must say. But what I did try to do is I said to the guys, listen, man, and just to get back to answering your question, like, people are gonna love this track. The only thing is that the lyrical content's going to limit, what you can do, and it's gonna limit where the song can go. So let me give you a classic example. We had an opportunity to open or to actually be part of the lineup. We actually were part of the lineup for the Backstage AIDS benefit concert. So Backstage was an ETV TV show. For those that don't know, it was literally one of those shows that people would tune in every day to sit and watch. It was music culture, people studying, that whole university life, res, that sort of thing, you know. And obviously there was a vibe to it. There's a bar where people are performing, so they kind of, it was like urban culture just all in one TV show. So they had an AIDS benefit concert that was going to go, that they were recording at Sun City, and it was going to air as an extended episode on ETV. And so our label was pushing to have the guys perform on this particular AIDS benefit concert. Now you must know, at the time it was Danny Kaye doing the R&B thing, Loiso, it was um, Mendoza, it was TKZ,
Ishmael, all of
everyone,
them.
it was rocking. So Danny Kaye and Mendoza also started working on that same difference project, you know.
Yeah.
So we saw them performing together. We saw all of the heavy hitters on the stage, and the executives of the show and the producers of this whole concert said, we don't mind having the guys perform, but this song we can't put on the lineup because we're recording and this is going onto TV. So this song is talking about drugs, it's talking about sleeping with multiple women, it's talking about, so now we're doing an AIDS benefit concert. Yes, make sure you strap to condoms and all that was part of the lyrics, but the truth is they were saying that just the lyrics of the song promotes a lifestyle that is not what we are going to be for in terms of what we want to display on TV. So I did say to the guys, listen, edit. I said, what we can do is do a clean edit. And they were like, listen, this is us, you know. Now you're trying to change us, you know. This is, we're from the hood, you know. We want to be real. We're trying to represent. We're putting the hood on our backs, basically. So I said, okay, cool, no stress. But I said, the truth of the matter is, every time somebody plays this album in the car or whatever, this song, now if there's kids in the car, you have to skip it. You know what I mean?
And it doesn't really get the attention that it
exactly. Now we were in a situation where we had a listening party in the boardroom and everything, and we're listening, and this American guy's flipping for this song. He's like, man, he's like, honestly, I want to take this song to the States, maybe throw a couple of artists on it or whatever the case is. Man, can you give me the beats or whatever? So I said, I can't do that. I said, this is their song, you know. So the thing is, the part that saddened me in the whole thing is the fact that because of what you said now, because the song didn't get the proper attention when it came to bookings now, the guys were nowhere, like in terms of requests. Nobody really was booking them simply because their song never got the attention. So it wasn't a case of coaching out the brain funk. No, if that was the case, I mean, I've got a song called On the Floor, which I called Chucky and I said, listen, we just finished your song, my baby. Why don't you feature? I featured on yours. Why don't you feature on mine? You know? So obviously, Chucky came in and then he did his verse and stuff. But what happened was on that album was also playing games with Loki and JJ. So I said, you know what? I said, Loki is also, I've worked with them as well, and the O can rap. I said, well, are you keen to tag team this thing, or we'll put two rappers on one, what you call? So Chucky's like, yeah, bro, I'm easy. Let's do it. Let's collaborate, you know. And he liked their song as well because we had just finished it and I played it for him. So he's like, no, let's do it. So anyway, we did it. My bro comes from Joburg and he listens to the track. He's like, no, the verses are too long. You need to tag team the guys, like 4 bars like that, you know. So he came with that concept and he's like, and then even for the video, the O's can knock one another out of the way and carry on. It worked, you know. So Valley came and added that whole thing. And the truth of the matter is, from there, if you listen to that song, you know, the brain funk is in that song. It's not coached out. I think Chucky just wrote what he felt in his heart.
But then again, that's Chucky, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so you can't change him. You can't.
Yeah.
So it's not true the fact that we tried to coach the brain funk out. What all I said to the guys was the vulgarity part of it. Just I said be cautious, and all of them took my advice when I said that, because Chucky and him used to swear on some of their songs before, and I'm like, listen, bro, just even with I said, Chucky, you're doing a song called My Baby, keep it clean, keep it, you know. You obviously his whole song is rapping slang. It's a slang brain funk sort of style, My Baby, you know. So there was no way that I was gonna take that out. And then when it came to Loki had a more, like for me, had a more international sort of style, more Diddy, more like he was listening to all these different artists.
Hey, can't say Diddy nowadays, bro.
Yeah, no. Well, at the time we were listening to what I think what we were trying to kind of establish the feel of was that Mace. And I mean, when we did the tag team thing, we thought, you know, We thought, okay, Puff and Mace, like that whole vibe. We thought it would look nice if we have to shoot a video to have Loki and Chucky next to each other in the camera and just, So it was the whole thing that we really enjoyed. I mean, we were listening to 112, Only You, and all these songs. So I think it gave like two sides of a coin, so to speak, as well, where Loki had more of an international sounding flow. Chucky's was more local. So this was more relevant to the community. And I mean, Loki, I think with him, he's like his father, like already was in this music thing. So we knew him through his father being the leader of Afrotude,
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, his father's the lead singer of Afrotude. So our fathers knew each other. So we're like, hey, let's take this thing further. Our fathers only performed in these hotels and in the clubs. Let's make music. Let's take the legacy further. But even with him, like even the stuff that the guys put down, it was their verses, it was their lyrics. And I was like, listen, man, I just have a vision for this thing to go as far and wide as possible. If you think about it as well, um, I would say I wouldn't. A lot of people didn't really feel this, but it was present when I say, "Oh, lady, would you be my queen?" Because that's what we called women in the colored community. It's like, "Hey, bro, that's my queen. That's my cherry." It's like. So I use that as part of
and that's
colored
brain funk,
colored culture. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though we say, "Hey, this is my queen," whatever the case is, as far as we can identify, it's my queen. That's my fro. That's my.
Did you know at the time when you, and I'm gonna say this also because there was a talk that East Coast Flava was put together to kind of almost like, let me give you, it's like B2K, right? B2K was put together to kind of push Omaria, and Destiny's Child was put together to kind of push, Beyonce, NSYNC, all these things. So it came when everything was all said and done. East Coast Flava was to birth Verd. That's why Verd was on 9 out of 10 of all the songs. I think only song I didn't hear you on was actually Party Anthem.
Yeah.
Maybe you were there somewhere with I don't know, but most of the songs you were on there. So it was said that was the plan all along. So my question is that true? And also, when you started this, because it was a big project, that was a big group to manage.
Sure.
Was it the idea always to have that, or was it just a compilation that you were thinking about doing to push yourself or whatever?
So I was dreaming of being a music producer, right? And I just wanted to produce music. I never saw myself as an artist or a solo artist or whatever the case is. I did do music with a couple of groups, and like in the past, I tried to do the whole group thing and whatever. And when I decided to obviously pursue music production, you must remember my brother was in Joburg. He had just finished up his career with Devante. He started a recording studio in Joburg and everything. And then a lot of people don't know this, but 70% of the East Coast Flava album was recorded in Wentworth, in Tiflin Road. You know what I mean? So what would happen was, at the time, a friend of mine said, listen, I want to put a studio together, and I want to record he was managing a group called Salt at the time, which was some of the members of the group GRC, right? So he wanted to put a studio together. He was buying equipment, but the problem was he didn't have the time to really really develop them. And so he says to me, so I actually approached him. I said, look, man, let's just try and do something. He says to me, he's got the equipment, he just doesn't have the time. He's busy with his studies and all of that. So I said, cool, I'll come in, I'll use the time to develop myself. I said, let's go half in terms of, if we make a 1 rand, we split it 50-50, so to speak, So I just wanted to produce music. And then Chucky comes to me and he says, listen, man, I want to record a song for my fro, and she's means so much to me, and she's done so much for me and whatever. So we said, cool, let's go in, we record the song. At the time, at that very, very moment, we had a single come out through Trevor Williams and them with Baby Boy and TSO, who's in the club tonight, right? So that song, the guys started pushing it at all the events and all of that. So Chucky was smart. He recorded the song with me, but the bullet was in the chamber, but it was like he was keeping it, he's holding it for that time where he needs to pull the trigger, And the guys were like, hey, this song blowing up and this and everyone. I think there was our dance crew from Wentworth as well, that were Trevor Williams's crew, you know. So there's Baby Boy, TSO, the dancers, they had this whole collective happening. And so when Chucky saw that, he recorded a song, but he said, no, I don't want anyone to know about it. Don't play it for anyone. So I was like, okay, cool. When people hear the song for the first time, they'll hear it through you.
Did you know it was a hit?
I knew it was a hit because when we created it, it was like there's a feeling that you get. You know what I mean? So for me, the music, if I'm not losing my mind at 3 o'clock in the morning in the studio, then the song's not gonna work. You know what I mean? So I knew when we created it, it was actually gonna work. But Chucky didn't wanna like sort of publicize that he's got a song and whatever at the time. So we put that on the back burner. During that time, remember, I'm trying to develop myself. I tell all the up and coming acts, listen, there's a studio now in Wentworth. I think it was like $2,500 to record a demo, but the quality you're gonna get proper. I think it was like Rode Classic 2 mic, preamps, CL Audio Ivory series, was some solid equipment in there. Genelec monitors. I said, guys, there's the equipment here that's gonna make you sound like you can come out the gate with this recording, you know. And so the guys came. Loki and JJ came, so they were explicit. They came and they recorded with me. So we did playing games, right? That obviously was on. We recorded it. They took that. I left it obviously in a folder there on the computer. So we had Chucky.
Did you already have beats pre-made, or you
I would get them to sing the hook for me. I'd be like, okay, what's the hook? Okay, cool. Oh, this is the hook. Okay, fine. I think we need to change A, B, and C. And sometimes the guys didn't want to because they wrote the song and that's how they wanted the song to go. And I'm like, but it's not feeling like it's strong enough. It's not feeling, you know. So each person, we would vibe off one another a little bit, and you know, until we get the end result. Obviously, they would take their CD and they would go, but there was no plan at the time. So Chucky records his song, he takes a copy of his CD, he goes. Explicit comes, they record, they take a copy of their song and they go. B Down comes from a Tuts, we record a song. His father even thought it was going to be a gospel song, you know. So he was like, no, bro, I can hear the stuff that you're doing. It's R&B and stuff. I want to make this thing happen. I want to start performing, you know. At the time, there were opportunities for me to be a solo artist because there was Merebank Fair and all of these things happening. And then the guys would say, hey, just come and sing a few songs, man. And I'll be like, I'm only doing 2. I'll just be like, okay, just 2 songs. That time I'm doing like Usher, I Need a Girl, and, you know, those kind of songs. And so as the time's going by, this artist now, Chucky recorded, Explicit recorded, B Down recorded, even Marlon Oliver, who's a pastor now, he came and recorded his track with us as well. Who am I leaving out? YGB came, LIV, Venom, that happened in Joburg. When I moved to Joburg, that's when we did that. LIV came, we recorded a song with them. And then after like the 7, I think we did about 7 tracks, right? Obviously, I did my own Don't Want to Be Alone, and I did On the Floor. But what was actually happening was, when it came to the vocal side of things, it's like the vocalists that we were recording weren't cutting it for me at the time. So I said, gents, this is how I want the chorus to sound. And I would go in and say, okay, I'm going to lay the vocals down. You now need to copy what I've done, you know? But like some of the O's have not been exposed to harmonizing and, you know what I mean, that type of stuff. So I'll just be like, okay, cool. You do the verses, I'll do the backing on the pre-chorus and the chorus. And then you just do the ad-libs, you know? So that's how my voice ended up on all the different songs. But also I'm producing the song. So my flavor's on it, my essence is on it, my mind, my emotions are fully invested in your song, you know? So what would happen is the songs would come out, the guys would be happy, hey, no, cool. So, and we did that even with the Joburg and Cape Town artists we were working with, we would do the same. If somebody wasn't vocally strong, me or my bro, we would just jump on the vocals and assist. And like session vocals, so to speak. So when I went to Joburg, I had 7 songs on a disc and I played it for my cousins there. And I was like, listen, this is what we've been doing. Immediately, my cousin Verdene Eaton, he was Mendoza's manager. So he automatically, now you must know, they had a history of managing artists. TKZ, Rebecca Malope, Mendoza, Cheese Corp, you name it. They managed Ernie Smith.
Wasn't Marlon also involved at some
Marlon
point?
was managing. Marlon got involved when the East Coast Flava album,
Right.
when we started pushing this thing now as a collective now.
Mm.
So we remember it was a compilation album. So even if you look at the original disc, it's Verd featuring Chucky. It's Verd featuring, or Chucky featuring
that's where
Verd.
my question came from.
Exactly. So it was meant to be like, like how they had the Pump and Grind Volume 1 or the Summer Hits Volume 2. It was meant to be that. But what happened was the songs became so popular that people would ask, hey, how do we book East Coast Flava? So when the bookings calls started coming in, then Makazi decided, no, we need to keep this as a collective. We can actually put this on the road together. It can be like a TKZ family, because they managed TKZ. Loiso's career was launched through TKZ family. And they thought, okay, cool. There's various artists, there's songs that people like. We can actually travel with this crew of artists. Excuse me. So what had happened was we started doing that, and we started noticing which songs wouldn't work, and which guys weren't committed to showing up. It's like if there's, and in the beginning you got to perform for free. And some of the guys, unfortunately, and I'm not going to name names, but some of the guys unfortunately felt that because we were signed to a label that all the expenses must just get paid. So every show you do must just be paid. You must just be paid for. And this is at the very beginning. No one knows you. Yes, the music leaked a couple of months before it was scheduled for release. People were enjoying it. But there was only certain songs that people were playing, and that the clubs were playing, and that taxis were playing. And until they narrowed it down and they said, okay, guys, we need to do this in such a way where traveling parties cut down, it becomes cheaper on the clients. You'll get more gigs. I mean, we had 13, 14 people, plus the dancers. You know what I mean? So when you think about it, you like so many artists coming together on this album, and you taking the backup dancers with you. There's no way to make it work. I'll never forget, bro. We did a gig at one of these fairs, and we literally, when we split the money, we literally all made $188. I remember. And we looked at this and we were like, you know what? How do we make this work? Because each artist is pursuing their own career, And the truth of the matter is they had never been paid for a gig before. None of us had been paid. So we were trying to figure out, how do we make this work where each artist can still do their own thing, but still push the project? And then we just decided, no, man, excuse me, let's push this thing as East Coast Flava, as a collective. We'll perform as East Coast Flava. So we're not marketing Chucky. People knew Chucky because of TRO. They had an amazing career, So people didn't know Verd, they didn't know YGB, they didn't know Loki. Nobody knew us individually. So we obviously just would do our shows. We would introduce ourselves to the people. Hey, everyone, my name is Verd. Hey, I'm Chucky. I'm so-and-so. I'm so-and-so. And people begin to choose their Omarians and their Beyoncés and their, so people began to obviously say, okay, fine. We know even up till today that East Coast Flava is, if you look at the performance side of it, the cherries want to see Chucky on stage. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's his eyes or if it's the brain funk swag, or whatever the case, the swag and the brain funk flow, whatever. But like the cherries just want to see, they want Chucky to be coming up there and just like the rest of us are like, hey, what are we gonna do here? So I'm relying on the pipes, I'm gonna try and this, So what would happen was then we would obviously notice now which are the songs that are popular, and then the guys that were doing the bookings would then say, okay, cool, this is more or less what the clients are willing to pay or the clubs are willing to pay. This is the duration we think that you guys must do. So we're like, okay, for us to do that duration, we got to cut some songs out. And Vaughn now, because we were the ones at the time that out of all of the South African artists, we were the first outfit or first collective to sign a 360 deal. We signed 2 contracts. We signed a record deal and a management deal with the same company. So that's a 360 if you think about it. So the company was managing us and they were our label. So there was no one to fight for us, because even Marlon and Makazi Cohen in Joburg were actually, when they got involved in managing us, they were also working for the label. You know what I'm saying?
So you can't.
There's nothing. No, even if you have a disagreement with the label, and your own manager's being paid a salary or whatever from, or they're making money from the gigs or whatever through the label. So it's not like we had a separate lawyer or somebody that could, you know. So when the guys made the decision and they said, listen, you got to cut the show down, perform these songs. These are the songs people want to hear, right? And there's research being done based on the guys coming out to the shows and checking out the performances, and like, okay, cool. These are the songs. These are the artists that you need to put on the road. So we were just getting a call to say, look, we got a gig at this place. It's in Newcastle. It's there. I didn't have no decision as in who performs. I mean, I didn't have the power. I was an artist. I signed the same contract everybody else signed. You know what I mean? I actually, if you think about it, the label stood to benefit because everybody paid, you know, me as the guy doing the production in the studio. I did my work, but I didn't have the say over how it's actually managed afterwards. You know what I mean? We all signed a contract. We were all just artists after that. So my work that I put in was to develop the music, develop the songs. And then after that, all of these guys, I said to them, I said, I played this for my cousin and them who managed Mendoza and Ernie Smith and everybody. Are you guys interested in having a meeting with them? And they all said yes. So we met at the Hilton Hotel. Everyone was keen to sign, make this thing happen. And bro, honestly speaking, we even put in the physical work. I mean, the same dance crew, Hot Bubblegum, the O's went with Marlon and them. We found ourselves, bro, with the flour and water, with the posters. We plastered this whole city with East Coast Flava posters. And the truth of the matter is we got a 45 grand fine for that, which I think we still didn't pay, because we told them as long as my name doesn't say East Coast Flava, then I'm good, you know. So, but what I'm saying is we did the groundwork, which some of the other guys didn't do, and yet we would still get questioned like, so where's our money? Why aren't we on this gig? Or why aren't we? And some of the stuff was complicated, where we would say, guys, your lyrics, this is how do you do a what is that organization, Love Life? How do you do a Love Life campaign with your music if it's going to be a situation of you know, the lifestyle now, hey, come back and leave with 3 cherries, and you know what I mean? It's like, I even said to the guys, even the love stuff, I said, keep it love in the sense of it's pure and clean. Don't now talk about the bedroom, man. So you know what I mean? I'm like, the love songs, keep it you and this chick, she blows your mind, she's everything that you've ever wanted. And I would guide like that, not the situation of, you know, brain funk going out in. And also, to answer your question, just to wrap that question up, is once we began to see what was popular, because I had I had a brother that had a studio in Joburg, and I had access to the studio that I was working in here in Durban. I was developing my own ideas, my own songs, and my own. So it wasn't a case of me being groomed to be the star of the show. Because if you think about it, Chucky still was the one guy that everybody had history with TRO. So he was still like the one artist in the whole crew that people knew. They came out to see. I mean, I went to watch TRO perform at June the 16th, on Ogoro grounds, and they came and they rocked it, you know. So it wasn't a case of being, I think where the guys probably felt that way is because it was my relatives that gave us the opportunity. You know what I mean? So my relatives were already in the industry. They were powerhouses in the industry. So it made sense for me to take this project and say, listen, what do you guys think? You think this is something you'd be interested in? And they said yes. We had the meeting. We all signed the same contract. We rocked it. And then because I was also working with other artists, you know, I would be like, man, I got some beats. I'm like, can't you play this for Mendoza? Can't you play this for Pitch Black Afro? Can't you play this for TKZ? Like, I'm like, the same way that I pushed my East Coast Flava crew, I was pushing my beats to some of these artists. And then I started getting opportunities now to work with them, where the guys will come to me and say, cool, there's a budget of whatever. At the time, I think it was like we were being given like maybe 10 grand a track or 6 grand a track or something like that. So remember, I started charging 2.5 in the hood, where I'm like, listen, guys, but quality, it's gonna happen. You'll get your backtrack, you'll get your acapellas, you get all of that stuff. And at the time, I started getting these opportunities. Now you have a situation where Pitch Black Afro album is coming in at like 10 or 12 tracks at maybe 6 grand or 10 grand a track. So it's money that I never ever saw, you know, in the sense that I wasn't exposed to it, but it was money that was coming towards me and I was doing the work. Mendoza, you find, hey, look, there's only an opportunity to do 2 tracks here. but it's a 10 grand a track sort of situation. And then you do that, you know what I mean? So the money would start coming in that way. And then you have like a Janine Price. I don't know if you've ever heard her music. I love you and throw your
I
hands.
love you.
Yeah. So sure.
Bro, I know all
So I'm saying,
the
so if you
local
think
music
about it,
from
you
your
start working in the behind the scenes. You're doing all of these things besides East Coast Flava now. Jerusha as well. You know, we started working with some local acts as well. Eric Canham started doing his album with us. And then there were people like that would come from Richards Bay and from places where people are sponsoring their entire albums. You know what I mean? Then you're looking at it, you're saying, okay, cool. This guy is coming to do his album. There's a business guy that's paying 5 grand a track or whatever, and maybe you're doing 10 tracks or 12 tracks or whatever. So money started coming in through music production. And then when you try and obviously say, okay, cool, my dream is what? I want to have a car, man. I want to be able to, go here, go there. And then you find that eventually when the time comes for an opportunity for you to get a car, then you buy a car, then the same crew that you started with says, no, you're stealing our money. You know what I mean? So like I was like, okay, where? Like you guys registered yourself with Samro. You've got a Samro number. Whatever you registered your own music there. So whatever music is there is yours. You've registered it, goes to your Samro membership number.
There's so much we can talk about. I still wanted to talk about the helicopter.
Yeah, let's talk. I
still wanted to talk about, you mentioned a little briefly about Pitch Black Afro. How did that go about? But let's start with the helicopter scene, right? I don't know if it was a June 16 or
June
what
16,
was happening.
2006.
We were there. I was a backup dancer actually at the time for these other girls, Michelle and Joanne Norky and them.
Yeah.
They had been signed to, I don't even know who, but I think they had a clothing deal with Mr. Price and stuff.
Sure.
So we were backup dancers for them because we had a group called Damage that we used to do, hey, bro, back in those days. And then there's this helicopter that lands in the grounds, army pants.
Sure.
I will never forget. People are going, man, it's fun. Now we were also in the back, because when you performing, you get to be in the VIP backstage, whatever. So we see you coming through the back there, get ready. I think you had one of these.
No. I actually had my phone, so it's actually on. You actually see it. It's on YouTube. It's on my YouTube channel. You can go have a look. I actually got that footage from Carl Linderboom. So shout out Carl for booking us, man. I think you paved the way for a lot of artists.
But what I wanted to ask you was that the time where you knew, okay, I am him?
I was trying to be him. I was trying to be him. You must know that time we're watching Omarian videos, we're watching the awards, the performances, we're trying to get this whole thing together. But I knew that I wanted to be iconic. I wanted to be I wanted to put the city of Durban on my back, and go to Joburg and represent. Like, listen, I've got people behind me, sort of following and supporting. So, funny story, the budget for that June the 16th was only 30% of the cost for the actual performance. So I said to the label, we got to think big here. Like, we got to make sure, because we had a plan of taking the music to everyone.
Yeah.
And while we're taking the music to everyone, we need to advertise the fact that we are doing this show. So in other words, we saw, please edit that out. So we wanted to actually take the music to everybody, and it was kind of like advertised that it's leading up to this show. You know what I'm saying? So we would do a school and say, hey, you're not cool. Thanks so much for your support, whatever the case is. Don't forget, June 16th, we're on Ogle Road grounds, come through, whatever. So we were doing marketing for
that event,
for the event and for the organization. I think it was We Help Our Children, if I'm not mistaken, which is walk. And we went to it. I could have the name wrong. I'm not sure, but I think it was that. At the time, we were busy just pushing, trying to get people to know the music, and when we figured out, okay, cool, the way that we want to do this is actually going to cost X amount, we looked at the budget, we're like, sure, you know what these people are offering us as a young, we gotta
Yeah.
buy this gear, we gotta pay for this helicopter.
Mm.
We also did a limo exit, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we try to do it in the most iconic way that we could. And I go to the label, I sat in the office, I said, listen, um, this is the story. We've got 30% of the budget in terms of what we want to do. I need to borrow money from you, you know, in order to make this happen. So they were like, okay, what do you want to do? So I said, I need at least 2 outfits for the dancers and myself, right? Um, well, it was mainly for them. We kind of had our stuff covered because we actually hired some stuff like that coat and stuff. We hired it from the Playhouse company, So we literally just tried to make the look and the concept right. So the guy said, okay, cool. If you can pull this off, then everybody's going to be phoning for Verd. So let's see if we can make this happen. So the amount of work just to get the clearances and the whatever it is, the paperwork for that helicopter to come through. I mean, they had to have a certain
section
space
where
that
it lands,
so
where
nobody was
nobody's.
allowed there. We had to have health and safety on site just in case something went wrong, and all of these indemnity forms and stuff that you had to sign. And we obviously had to pay. I mean, we paid obviously for. It was literally just a drop off, and then the helicopter left, and I was on the ground for the show. But the planning that went into that, you must remember, the show is going on. We had Trevor Williams and the whole outfit with Trevor, with TS and Baby Boy and the dancers and everybody performing on stage before us. And at the time, we said we're gonna have to stay on our phones, in order to communicate because it would take 15 minutes to get from the airport to the grounds. So we had to now say to ourselves, right, cool, Trevor and them should be wrapping up about this time, so 1:45, cool, let's leave. And we had to try and time it in such a way that when we leave, and by the time we reach the grounds, like our guys, the dancers, are already at the stage steps, getting ready to go on. I must land. Got my men in black there. We must run from there all the way to the stage, and all of this had to be timed with precision. So we're like, okay, you've got 3 minutes or 2 minutes from the time you land to go to the stage, because by the time you get to the stage, the intro would have started, and you need to do this dance routine, whatever. I'm not a dancer as such, but obviously for the entertainment value, we tried to make something happen. But we had to time everything. So this is sitting now days and days and planning and trying to make this thing happen. And we also, like I said, we had to borrow the money to make it happen. So we borrowed the money to make it happen, and then we saw, hey, obviously we can do this. We got all the paperwork done. That happened. And we saw, like, just when people saw the helicopter, it was like it actually just it was just something that just, and it had never been done before,
in Wentworth.
In Wentworth, yeah,
that was crazy. I'll never forget that.
So doing the show also, we couldn't even leave the grounds because people were like just bombarding afterwards, 7,000 people, So, and then also I had to sign posters afterwards, CDs, like we had boxes of CDs on a table, like a merch table. So you must know, this thing, we planned every single thing. Like, my cousin Marlon said to me, listen, bro, he said, I want you in the paper every single week. He said, I don't care what paper it's going to be. He said, I need you to be in the paper, in the Gazette, in the Rising Sun, the Daily News, Sunday Tribune, Sunday World, wherever we could actually. He said, even if it's a newspaper that's not in our territory, I need to get you into a newspaper every week, And that's what we decided to do. So for 6 months, we pushed for me to be in the newspaper every single week. We pushed for me to be in a school every single week. So some days we would do 2 schools in a day. So you're rushing to a school, doing a setup. The dancers are carrying the sound, setting everything up. We do a performance, do some edutainment because you must have an educational message as well. Go to pack that down, go to another school. So we pushed like that because we knew. Prior to that, I did backing vocals for like Ernie Smith for one of the June the 16 performances. Then I also went to the previous year and I saw TRO actually did that. So the year that Ernie Smith was his year, he was doing June the 16 and Jay. You know what I mean? So I'm looking at these artists and I'm like, yo, I need to be here, So I wanted things to happen strategically. So I said, look, this is what I want. This is the vision that I have. I've been exposed to TRO's one. I've been exposed to Ernie Smith and Jay's one, and I want my own one. I want to be somebody that literally takes the stage, and I need to be the main act. Like we need to work so that we become the main act. So we planned everything. So as that whole thing started unfolding, we literally began to see that, hey, this thing is working and we can make it happen. But without the backing at the time, we wouldn't have been able to do it, like the whole helicopter thing. We would have just been doing a show. But the truth is, what we would do is, even the little bit of money that the schools would pay, like the kids would pay 5 Rand or 10 Rand or whatever, we would take that and reinvest it. We would take that and say, okay, cool, pay the dancers, pay the driver, put the diesel in the quantum. Like we paid the labor. We were hiring the sound for each event from the labor. Now that also, I mean, you sign a 360 deal and you paying for everything. It's like a typical American deal where the artist is paying for everything. Or if you're borrowing money from the label, you're paying it back. So you weren't making any money at the time. So for 6 months, I was doing free performances. But whatever money we made, we paid everyone, we paid for everything, and we continued to push. When that event was done, I promise you, it was like the heavens opened. It was like clubs like that we hadn't heard of before were calling. Newcastle, Richards Bay, and I'm talking about proper lineups. Like that time it was God Taylor and like artists that are charging 25 grand a gig for an hour, and we like, yo, we actually here, Coxted. We literally just were going into spaces that we never knew possible. But then I kind of understood the process because I watched my brother and him do it. I watched my brother and him take flour and water and put posters up on the walls, for Devante years ago. I saw TRO traveling in a taxi, like a VW microbus, together with some of the TKZ guys and some of the label mates at the time, and they also promoted their stuff. So we literally did whatever we could. We were hungry for this. We really tried to be iconic. Even though it wasn't as iconic as we could be, like the Joburg artists, but we did it in our own way, and it gained us the recognition. After it became successful. So
let's wrap it up with that. Thank you. That was so insightful. There was so much to unpack, and I feel like it's been things that I haven't heard you speak about in a long time.
Sure.
What's next for you now? I know you busy with you had Revolution this past weekend.
Yeah, that was sure.
That looks amazing.
Yes, man, 1,500 plus.
Are you
people.
moving into the church scene, or what's new for you now? What's next?
I am. I think it's important to have like a head office, if you may, like a headquarters, a base, a foundational place that's a safe space, and also the fact that I'm raising my kids now, and I'm trying to, and they're growing older, and they're understanding stuff, they're understanding life, they're understanding a whole lot of things that are taking place. So I'm trying to guide them in the best way that I can, if I may. We've been taught many years ago that you must train up a child in the way that they should go, and when they are older, they will not depart from it. So I obviously now I can see the importance of having the foundation and having that particular base and that covering in that safe space. When you go off the rails, you have people, and you've got family, you've got friends, and you've got a church family that can cover you and also just be with you. And if you look at it, even now, we've got such amazing things happening. I just looked at the BET situation with Will Smith performing with Sunday,
Kirk Franklin and stuff.
What's it? Sunday Service Choir, So Maverick City and all of them. So now we're living in a time, man, where guys are actually, like, as much as you have artists who are iconic and creative and everything, now it's like all of us, or it's weird that it's all of us at the same time. Are in a place now where we're just yearning to know who made us and why we were made, and is there a way for us to impact the lives of other people. Now we're seeing guys like Casper Nyovest preaching sermons in church and leading people to God in prayer. You see guys like Kabelo who are pastors now, who have changed their lives. I mean, I remember when he was, like, his story, you must hear his testimony, man. life at one stage was riddled with drug abuse and living the whole
yeah.
artist lifestyle. And you can only do it for a certain amount of time. Like you can only run. At some point, you'll get tired. You're gonna run, you'll be at a certain speed, you'll sprint, then you'll start slowing down, you'll jog, and then there's a time where you're gonna be out of breath. You're gonna have to walk, and then even you're walking, you get tired. You gotta stop,
Yeah.
grab some air, just So for me, I think what's next is the purpose of why I was born. That's the discovery that I'm on now, and I think I know. I've got a glimpse of what it is, but community is going to be a big part of that, because I would want us to get to a point where these are the platforms that we can use to influence the youngsters to put the weapons down, to establish who they are, why are you made the way you are, what gifts do you have that we can actually benefit from. In other words, if a person can draw, and let's just say they can do a portrait of you sitting just like this and they damn good at it, like we must be able to say, how much is this worth to you? Let's try and find the money somewhere. Paint me, and if I can pay you for painting me, then someone else will be prepared to pay you for painting them, which means you don't have to pick that weapon up ever again in your life. You can actually do what you've been created to do. So for me, that's where it's at. And I love the fact that my son is so hip and cool, and he's into basketball and music and hip hop and stuff, because it
I
keeps
was just
me.
gonna say, because you come from a musical family,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, pretty much all of your
yeah, yeah.
musically inclined.
True.
Your children also
My
musically inclined?
daughter, from the singing sort of side, and she obviously wants to learn how to play an instrument as well. So she sits there with my keyboard at home, fiddles a bit. But I think she'll definitely pick it up. I mean, she's always
Would you encourage that?
definitely, man,
Knowing
because
the industry and knowing the
I think
lifestyle?
I think when it comes to the industry and the lifestyle, she's got protection from that now, because I've been there. So it's not like I'm releasing her into somebody else's hands. In other words, if she wants to sing, I'm obviously going to be right there making all the decisions.
Yeah, but also Will Smith was also right there. But look at Willow and
True, true,
Jaden Smith,
100%, 100%. But I think if if you have a and look, at some point your child becomes an adult, they make their own decisions, right? But I think when also it's kind of like what we how do I say this without being, you also kind of have to be conscious of what you believe. You know what I mean? It's like if you just believe that uh, like a child can live their truth, you know what I mean? It's then they're gonna live their truth. If you giving them the instruction and the go ahead to live their truth, then their truth can't offend you.
Yeah.
You can't be in that position where something angers you or offends you because you gave the go ahead. However, if I am raising you from a baby and I'm teaching you and I'm raising you in the way that you should go, the intention is that when you are older, that you do not depart from it. That's the purpose of why I'm raising you like this, because later on, I don't want you to depart from it. And I also want to have honest and open conversations with you, to the point where you need to communicate with me what's frustrating you, what is culture saying, like where's the peer pressure, like how do we deal with that. So we have these discussions. And I mean, I even encourage these kids. I was like, man, I said, you guys have got a mini production company potentially happening here. You've got I said, tomorrow you guys can put together a podcast, because they're all teenagers and they all have this, and everyone wants to talk about their feelings and the girls and this and that. And I'm like, you know what? Whatever you do, like I'll support. But in terms of how it's done and how it happens, I want to kind of be there to just guide and say, look, down this street, the street is full of potholes. So if you drive your car down this street, you buckling rims, you could potentially end up with 4 punctures or whatever the case is. So I want them to be wise enough to know that I've been down, and even if times have changed, I want them to know that it's out of love that I want to guide them, not that I just don't want to be with it. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm trying to obviously be relatable. I'm not trying to be relatable from my career standpoint. I want to be relatable to their culture and their age group from a support based structure, sort of somebody like that covers them with a fatherly covering, so to speak, versus trying to be relatable, where I'm trying to make music like them. You know what I mean?
Mm.
It's they're gonna look at me like, bro, you like 40 something, like you can't even, you know.
Yeah.
So I'd rather be there. And the truth is, like I say, if we've got a solid foundation, I mean, we sitting here, not once did you ever feel like this floor is gonna give way
Mm.
because you believe that the foundation's been built properly. It's the same with me. If I lay the foundation properly, I'll never ever have that in the back of my mind, like maybe they're just gonna live an alternative lifestyle, or believe that you know destruction is the way, whatever the case may be, you know. And sometimes when somebody doesn't really care about their own mental health or their own well-being, you'll find that they will behave destructively. So if I can create a space where we can talk about what could potentially lead you down that road, then I would like to talk about that and kind of give you, show you where the way out is. You know what I mean? Because sometimes we never know if we don't speak to our kids, and this
100%.
generation, we'll never know what they're facing. Next minute we just hear, there's a suicidal experience, or maybe there's suicidal thoughts or whatever. So we've got a huge responsibility to also speak to that. It's not just that we need to target areas where there's violence to create peace. What about the mental health situation? What about social media that's putting pressure on kids to try and be something because this is the status quo at the moment, you know? So my encouragement is, listen, not everything on social media is real.
100%.
From filters to even the car that somebody's standing next to the fake trading profiles, to the fake forex, to the fake, there's like so much nonsense out there. Like, I'm saying, do you, but at the end of the day, like, we want to be able to have, like we want to be able to build tangible legacy. Like, it mustn't be a situation of, oh yes, my father had that song one day so many years ago. You know what I mean? I want to be able to have tangible legacy where they can actually say, okay, cool, in this room or using this equipment is what my father recorded that song on, or my father put this room together for us to be creative, or for us to be, you know what I mean? Like, so kind of want to leave tangible legacy, and also just include them in my journey. I mean, my son did. I don't know if you paid attention to that, but during lockdown, I mean, my son and I were rocking on Facebook Live. You know what I mean? Instagram Live, and I gave him a taste of that, and then I took him also, and I did a couple of shows with him where he came out. My mum and him do Ubuntu music in the park every single month in Newlands East.
Nice.
So my father's in charge of all the artists. I think she's the treasurer or whatever, and one of our friends, Lawrence, is actually the chairman. So they've got this thing that happens every single at the end of the month. So we normally like to go there like December time, where it's like just when schools are closing and stuff like that. We go. I take the TRO guys, East Coast Flava, all of the guys, Jay, everyone. We go there and we make it happen. You know. So I gave him a taste of that also. I took him to Ground Zero in um, in Seaview also. We did like a 500 people outdoor thing there. I said, come, and just to give him the experience and to show him that, man, you can do this, and if this is the dream for you, you can go after it. But you also got to think of how you're going to protect yourself when things become tough, because the substances that are available to you, the women that are available to you, it's like the whole lifestyle, so
the fake friends that
exactly,
come about.
exactly. So we literally, like, we speak openly about these things. So I think that I don't ever want to be in that situation like what you mentioned, where it's there's a, like, for example, like a Will Smith being there and look at Willow or look at Jaden or whatever, so at the end of the day, at that point, if our kids are refusing to take the advice, and they're adults, then they have to be responsible for their own decisions. Whatever the consequences of those decisions, they're going to have to take full responsibility for, even though it may pain us and it may hurt us or whatever the case is. But the truth of the matter is, if they're adults, they're going to have to take full responsibility.
Okay. Thank you very much, Bru, for
Bro,
being on the show. Is there any last words that you have for the people out there, or your fans or anything?
Sure. I just want to say thank you guys for supporting us over the years, man. I'm looking forward to some new music coming soon. I know that there's 2 tracks that I'm working on that I believe, are gonna be the bombs that we're gonna drop this year. I'm trying to push maybe till to get everything perfect for like end of the year or so. But thank you for your support. And man, just this platform as well. I'm so grateful to the Everyday Gents platform, and also just support, man. Just support this platform. Let's build it. Let's see it. Cross the borders of the world. And
500 subs on our way.
there we go. There we go. So I mean, nothing stops us from 5,000 subs. You know what I mean? It's just a matter of everybody just getting behind it. If we look at our local areas alone, I mean, we've got thousands of people. But if we consider that our people are also in multiple other areas, if we come together and we support this platform, you know, it could turn into something that then becomes a full-on day job situation for you, where
100%.
this
Wentworth's
becomes
very own.
absolutely your vision, and we're here to support you, man. So if ever you need anything as well, I mean, if ever we down and we can talk again, and you
100%.
just want to catch up or whatever, we here, we
There's a
support you.
lot more to unpack. We
Sure,
haven't even
sure.
got onto the tip of
Yeah.
it, but
So
unfortunately, time is always never on our side.
sure. So this is part 1, right?
100%.
So cool.
Definitely. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. It's been an insightful episode. I'm very grateful to have you here with us today. You came all the way from Johannesburg. You're a busy man. You made time for us and our supporters. Until next time, guys, peace, love, joy, like a river, mountain, fountain. I'm out.